So I know I said this was going to be a fishbowl episode for tonight, but like I was kind of saying a little bit before the show, I got kind of in a rabbit hole with some of the subjects that I was going into. So we're just going to focus on like 3 or 4 of them, and I'm sure with those 3 or 4 topics, it's going to be an hour's worth of discussion. At least I hope, So, before we get started, does everyone want to introduce themselves, or do we not do that anymore? We just roll.
Let's introduce ourselves.
Okay.
I'm Steve Longbottom.
I'm Seth.
I'm Megan.
I'm Clark, aka the Reverend Michael Snakebite.
And I'm Brent, aka Grindhouse Zombie.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're gonna start off with a kind of a grim. So, all right, let me tell you how I got onto the subjects that I was picking. We had been talking a little bit earlier about podcasts and everything like that, and how it's been a while for me. So I was kind of doing a little bit of a recap on all the episodes that we had covered, and I kind of wanted to hit a little bit of the episodes that we had already covered with some up-to-date information just on some past episodes that we've done. So a lot of these topics that I'm going to bring up, except for one, are things that we've already gone over. Just a little bit of updates on some stuff, right? So first and foremost, who wants to hear about Chris Watts?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I wanted to start off with this one because it's kind of grim. Let's just get this one over and out of the way.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Exactly. So this is an article from people.com. Now, granted, this was about a year ago, but Chris Watts won't be getting any special treatment in prison on his birthday. The family murderer works as a custodian. He turned 38 in 2023, but he won't be getting any special meals, extra time in the yard, anything like that. If you aren't aware of who Chris Watts is, he's the guy who murdered his wife and his 2 little daughters in Colorado, and also his wife was pregnant at the time, and he also got charged for that murder as well. Altogether, I think he's serving over 70 years in prison, so he's more than likely gonna die unless he gets on the Seth diet and does the longevity thing to live longer, which I don't think is gonna happen.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, right. But according to Wisconsin Department of Corrections, inmates don't get special meals, extra time in the yard, or any other accommodations on their birthday. And he was actually transferred from Colorado to Wisconsin for security reasons. Now, what do you guys think that means as far as security reasons?
I don't know, because the murder rate in certain prisons, like I know of this case that's kind of, I know someone who knows someone that was murdered in prison. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around, like, it's not like he's a celebrity. I mean, there's a lot of attention on him as an individual because of how insane he is, but they don't usually do special treatment like that. So I mean, I have no idea. That's a really good question.
It doesn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, is it like the staff there want to kill him, like at the prison?
I would have to say there's probably a lot of inmates out to get him for what he did. Now, I know, I don't know a whole lot about the prison system, but I do know, like, if you do anything to children, you become a main target in prison, or that's the word on the street. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I've never been to prison. So I can only imagine that he probably got transferred for that reason. But like, everyone knows his story for the most part. Again, if you don't know this and you're a listener, you should probably listen to our past episode. Lily covered that. She did a really good job. But I find it really hard to believe that inmates in Wisconsin don't know what this guy has done. Again, the article doesn't say why he got transferred, but I was just asking as like a broad question. What do you guys think is the reason why? And that would be my only guess, is that he's probably a target, or he became a target in the Colorado prison system. So
I know the curly-headed dude with the shades in that 70s show was recently transferred out of his prison because, well, first off, he's there because he's a raper, but he got transferred a few days ago because some dudes tried to beat him up pretty maliciously, and so they transferred him to out of maximum security. He was in maximum security prison, which is crazy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He has several hits out on him, like several gangs in prison have hits out on him. And actually, the gang that had a hit out on him wasn't the gang that jumped him. It was another gang that wanted the glory and did it before the other people could get to him. So
Yeah,
Man.
well, and that's
it sounds like. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's in prison. That's the equivalent of getting likes and reposts, right? When you're a gang and you get to kill somebody who's famous. That's what that is.
I was about to say, prison sounds really catty.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like life. No, I do know a couple. Oh, sorry, Meg. Let me just real quick. I do know a couple of people that have spent time in prison, and yeah, if you do something to a child, you have a target on your back from the day that you walk in. So it's not surprising. It's either if you do something to children, if you're somebody who is notorious, like Danny Bastardson is definitely notorious. But like if you've been on the news and everybody knows about you, now 30 years ago it wasn't a thing because nobody knew anything about anybody, but now you have people in prison that have a smartphone hidden in their ass and everyone comes to their cell every day and gets their Twitter feed updates. So everybody knows everything now. So.
And that's what I mean is like when I don't think transferring any like prisoner really does a whole lot, because I mean like you have inmates talking with one another through the prison system, or they have someone who knows someone on the outside who knows, like it's all connected, I feel like, and you can never get away from it. Now I do know that there is, no, that might be wrong, but there is like, they will make some special accommodations for some inmates who are targeted. Like they put them in like in a different wing or like just away from everybody else. I mean, the best they can. They're not going to be like, oh, you get your own like little place, or. But I do feel like there are some instances where it's like, okay, let's move them out of here. So I mean, I don't know, but I mean, for what some of these guys do, I mean, can't feel too bad for them.
Yeah, there's a catch to it though, because from my inside information that I have on this, I've actually had it broke down pretty good to me. When you have a famous murder, and I heard this from a guy who did a long stretch in prison, so he kind of gave me a breakdown of prison etiquette. He said that when you have famous cases like this, the reason it might take so long before they get like jumped or killed in prison by someone is because the quote unquote special treatment that person is getting is while the case is still popular and fresh in the minds. There's still people coming in. There's reporters coming in to interview them all the time. There's people that want murderabilia and they'll get fan mail and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times wardens, guards, things like that are probably getting payoffs from the money he's making while he's still famous. And they said that eventually all that dries up once the case cools down, once the interviewers, the reporters stop showing up and that money dries up, then they just put them out to the yard like anyone else. And that's when they end up getting jumped and killed. That's why it took like Dahmer forever before somebody killed him. Because while he was the hot story and popular, he was protected. But when they're not making the money anymore on him and they're not, his story is kind of faded out and nobody remembers it, that's when he's probably going to get the next time he'll be popular is when you see his obituary.
Okay.
It's almost like we need federalized prisons and not private prisons.
Right? Yeah, I don't understand.
Or we need more firing squads. One of the two.
I don't
I'll
understand how
decide.
there's women out there. I know there's a lot of women who fall in love with these like murderers and marry them in prison. I'm like, why? They're fucking murderers.
You know what's funny about you saying that?
I'm sure someone's fallen in love with Chris Watts already.
In the article, it says, let me get to it. A
Actually,
source.
he was seeing someone.
What's that?
Wasn't he seeing someone? Now that I think about it, wasn't he trying to leave?
Yes, like it
Okay.
came to light that he was having an affair on the side.
Yeah.
That's right,
Okay.
yeah.
And like honestly, like he says like during the trial he doesn't know why he did it, but I mean honestly you can piece it together. He probably killed his wife and his daughters because he thought that was the only reason or the only way to get out of it. Nevertheless, right? It says here in people.com, a source told People last November that Watts has been corresponding over letters with multiple women for years. They send sexy pictures and he responds. According to the source who spoke to Watts several times, there are a lot of women who think he's handsome and misunderstood. They send lots of letters.
Oh God,
That's so
what kind of a moron do you have to be to think, oh, I can save him. I can save. Jesus, I'm sorry. You just got to be a. And I tend to think that the fairer sex is smarter, stronger, more apt, and better to do everything than us guys are. Sometimes women are fucking idiots, and this is one of those rare times where like. Are you kidding me? I mean, I think wasn't Charles Manson married when he died? Wasn't
Yep.
he married?
Yeah,
He was. He
I
was
think
married.
so.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot. Unless, because I mean, unless there was a pile of money at the end of the rainbow. If there was a pile of money, okay, maybe. But anything else, no. You are dumber
I'm
than a bag
sorry.
of hammers.
This guy, this Chris Watts guy, I don't think he's cute. I don't get it. I mean, he's especially not cute
I think it's
with what he did. So I don't know how anybody could be attracted to that.
well. What I don't understand is how can you think that he's misunderstood?
He's not.
Exactly.
Someone needs to just slap those women over the head or do something. Anyways, I'm done. I need to stop.
So this was the guy that put his wife's body in an oil drum, didn't he?
And his children, I believe.
Well,
Oh,
so
that's right.
what it was I hate to get into the details because this is why I wanted to get this one over and out of the way with, right? Because
maybe let's not give this asshole any more minutes than he has. He's a fucking asshole. He's rotting in prison.
Yep.
I hope he's made a really good friend in prison that gives him a size 17 asshole every single night for the rest of his life. That's what I would say. A bowling pin is too small. Just find something bigger.
All right, so real quick,
Whoa.
real quick on the
Here comes that ban. Our one viewer is going to report us.
There are things in life I don't care. Killing children, I mean, if you want a divorce, get a lawyer, get a divorce. Okay? The whole murdering your family thing does not have to be something that you ever consider. It's
correct.
Okay.
Real quick, this is the last thing, and then we'll move on to the next story. If you look in the podcast photos tab, I put a picture of Charles Manson and his wife before he went all crazy and everything like that. I had never seen that picture until maybe like a couple months ago, and I thought it was like, wow, that guy is actually really clean cut. If you didn't know anything about him, you would just think this is a normal couple.
I can tell you that before my dad succumbed to his Alzheimer's, he was really clean cut and everything else, and by the end he had a long shaggy beard and didn't say a lot, and so I mean, mental illness is what it is.
Yep.
It just is what it is. It's sad, but it is what it is.
Looking at that picture, I will say you can still see it in the eyes. Like
you can see the crazy.
Yeah, my dad used to always say that about people, and I think I'm getting it with like as I get older now, I understand that gift. He's like, he would always look at people and be like, "You can look at their eyes. That person's crazy."
Well, yeah, no, I think I think that's completely legitimate. Yep, absolutely legitimate. There are people, their whole story is told in their eyes.
I wonder what Manson's dark triad would be.
Oh boy,
that would be like seriously, like if he took a test without them telling him really too much about it. I wonder how he would score.
I don't know.
We did a dark triad episode. It's a personality, like you can do a short version or a super long version that puts you in several different scenarios and questions, and basically your personality spectrum is put on this kind of circular chart, and you can lean in. I forget the ones. That's Brent's forte.
Well, I think ultimately what we learned from that one is that Lily was the one that we had to be afraid of after she took the test.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
so,
was.
I mean,
she had the scariest results.
She did, absolutely.
What
Yep.
was it?
Well, so to what Seth was saying, it basically gives you a score and it's plotted on a chart, right?
Yeah.
And there are 7 or 8 points that you can lean towards, or more or less. And when I first took mine, I was right in the middle. I was like a 2.5 out of 5, and I was like, well, okay. It seemed high, but then we were talking, and Clark made a good point. He's like, you're right in the middle, so that's probably okay. Because like my wife took it, and she was scored very low, but that my wife's also kind of docile, and and Clark was pushing towards the top, and then Lily took it, and Lily was like 6-gun Susie in there, so it was like, uh-oh. So don't screw with Lily. That's what we basically learned from that. It's really interesting. You could go back through our episodes, Alex, and you could listen to the Dark Triad.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because now I have a little bit of time. I'm definitely going to and recap on some of these episodes that I missed. So
yeah, that one was really fun. That we had a lot of fun with that one.
good. Well, we'll get past Chris Watts. We've given him enough time and everything. So the next thing that I looked up, and now this one goes far back into like the start of the podcast realm. It's probably one of the most easiest things to cover as far as starting a podcast, I feel like, when you're doing mysteries and cryptids, is Bigfoot. And yep, and there has been new Bigfoot drone footage that is supposedly better than the Patterson footage. It's supposed to be like the best Bigfoot footage. Now, again, it's in things I found effing weird in that tab. It's on w.msn.com. But if you guys want to take a watch it. What I will say is, if you want to skip ahead to like I think it's like the 3-minute mark, that's where you actually get to actually see the Bigfoot.
Oh, wow.
Part of it is kind of just some guy talking.
Wild.
So I'll let you guys watch that, and then we can talk a little bit about that.
I gotta watch an ad first.
Oh, stupid ads.
Whoa.
So how did he lose them though?
See, that's what I'm wondering too. Is like, how do you? Now, this will always go back into my theory about Bigfoot and what it really is, but but yeah, he loses. Exactly.
That's a big boy.
Go to the left. No. Go to the left.
It's like
No, it
you want
looks
to take
like
the
he-
controller from them.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
that moment.
He might have had like a house or something built into this tree where it goes underground or something. That's really the only that or the guy in the suit just hugged the tree and waited until the drone went away.
See-
One of the two.
And that's my biggest issue, I think, with this is that, like, so Seth, you correct me if I'm wrong, right? With this drone, could you have not gotten lower with the drone and got a closer, like, picture or, like, drone footage of the Bigfoot? I feel like it's at such a distance that it's covering up something. It's not really, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
the lenses are wide enough to where it looks like you're kind of, even when you're close to trees, you're not really. And if you found something like, if you were a Bigfoot hunter and you're like, this is my big break, even risking the drone going down and crashing in front of the Bigfoot and like walking away with like as long as the SD card doesn't get destroyed, you go and retrieve it. Yeah. The thing that strikes me is the hands and the feet, and what looks like when whatever this is walking, it looks like there's a fabric you know how like fabric physics, it looks
Yeah.
like something is being worn to me, but
Well, it's walking like a person, though. It's walking through the woods, pushing branches out of its way. A Bigfoot wouldn't do that. A Bigfoot would just walk.
Do
You know.
do you think a Bigfoot would just walk, or do you think like they would still? Because I mean,
I mean, maybe a little, but if you watch the hands, there's some spots where it goes like this, and it moves branches. Like something small, I don't think a Bigfoot would, because in my mind, a Bigfoot is very thick-skinned, probably doesn't care about the branches, and it, doesn't have to go home and complain to the wife that they were weed whacking and got hit in the face with something. It doesn't. It's like not that animal. It's more robust. And this one just seems like it was too careful. That's what it seems like. It's too careful.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, Seth, do you think that you could have gotten closer? Do you think you could have gotten a front angle of this Bigfoot, or do you think, like, based on how cameras are on drones, you wouldn't have been able to, and based on the vegetation as well?
I mean, the thing is you can really fast with the drones we have now, even the older DJI or whatever they're called, you can back it up. You can go up high and figure out where there's a clearing enough in the vicinity of whatever it is you're looking at, and then know, oh well, if I just drop down here. Also, most modern drones have sensors, so they themselves will like all of a sudden start alerting when you have proximity to something. So like if you're about to hit a branch, they have these like infrared sensors like cars do now, where it generally knows how far it is before you're going to hit a branch. I don't know. The guy could have definitely got a clearer picture, but even whether or not this is real, I really want you to talk about what you think, because we haven't covered this in a while. What do you think Bigfoot is?
I'm curious to know.
Oh, Seth hasn't told you?
I don't think so.
There's so many topics. I haven't gotten to Bigfoot yet.
So honestly, and I'll tell you the reason why I feel like this is, I feel that if Bigfoot is real, he is an interdimensional being. So, and the reason why I say that is because there is a book called Skinwalker Ranch. And if you're familiar with, like, there's a show, I believe, on the Discovery Channel, or it's newer. I don't remember who does it, but there is a book called Skinwalker Ranch, and it follows, or it's about I forgot the family that lives there, but it's in the 90s. But the team that went there, I believe it was NIDS, it's the National Institute of Discovery Science. They were there, I want to say, for at least a year, if not more, with the family, because the family was complaining that all these anomalies were happening on their property. And one night, the NIDS team and the owner were like up on this plateau type thing, because if you watch the show, it's really cool to actually see the entire property. But there's like a plateau, kind of like a huge hill, and the NIDS team was like, I don't know if they were laying down or how they were on top of this hill or whatever, but they were observing like the land, and the way they described it was that it looked as if a portal had opened up in the distance, and a creature had come out of it. And the way that they said was like, if you had to be looking at this portal at such an angle, because if you went right or left, it disappeared. So they must have just been like lucky, but a creature came out of it and started crawling on all fours and like went away. Now I could be butchering it. It's been a while since I read the book, but that's what I can remember. But they do talk about Bigfoot and UFO sightings, and how where there's usually UFO sightings, there's Bigfoot sightings. So is it not possible that a Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, or a UFO, like an alien pet, sent here to do reconnaissance, or to do anything like? So I honestly think Bigfoot is an alien pet, because you never see like any bones. There's never like any sort of evidence of it. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I believe. I believe Bigfoot is an interdimensional. And when both of you said, like, where did Bigfoot go? He could have gone into his portal and went away. The aliens could have sucked him up right there. So,
Shit. That
yeah.
is the first time I've heard that theory. That's
Really?
really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I need to read that book.
Yes.
Sounds like a cool book.
I will get I'll get the name of it, because I think we have a new tab, like books and stuff like that in the tab. Yeah, so I'll get the name of it, and I'll plop it in there for anyone else who wants to take a look at it. It's a really good read. Not to go off into the Alien and Skinwalker Ranch thing, but real quick, I think I've said this before. The like the opening chapter of that book talks about the family when they first get to the ranch, and they're cattle farmers, I believe, and they have some cattle, some like calf that they bring initially to the ranch, and they're in their pen, and the family sees a wolf in the distance, and it's a little bit larger than a normal wolf, and that's what the dad of the ranch had said, and the wolf comes trotting up to the family as if they're not even there, and they think it's really peculiar, right? Like wolves, like usually wolves are in packs with other wolves; they're never alone. But the wolf goes straight up to the cattle pen and grabs a calf. But like I don't, they don't really say like how, but it grabs one of the calf. So the dad goes inside, and I don't remember the caliber, but I think it was a 38. I don't know. But the dad goes in, grabs a rifle, goes out, and shoots the wolf. And it doesn't do anything. It's not even phased. So I think he goes in and grabs I think he grabs a pistol or a revolver and goes out and does the exact same thing, shoots at it. And they said that it took a big chunk out of the wolf, and the wolf still didn't do anything. It was not even phased. And like by this time, like getting shot twice, you think it would at least do something. And then it finally let go of the calf. I think they shot it a third time. It let go of the calf and then just trotted away. And then they followed the footprints, and like it was bleeding, and they followed it, and the blood started to like slowly disappear, and same with the tracks, and then it just vanished. Like the tracks just went into nothingness. So it's a really, really good book. Again, I will.
Dimensional wolves.
Yeah, like
crazy, man.
Yes, yeah, right.
Wolves are already cool enough. Now you just added another. Now we have interdimensional wolves. That's sick.
That documentary you're talking about, I think it is on Discovery or one of those channels, and I was watching it. They finally got. Oh, I forget what machine it was called, but it sent X-rays into the ground. It's on this thing on wheels, and they cart it around.
Yes.
And they found this very strange, anomalous structure underground. And I believe there were some kind of rules of where they couldn't dig or something. The other thing that irritated me about that show, they were so slow. I would come in with bulldozers and have it done over the weekend. Whatever I was looking for, I would get it started.
Okay, so I do remember this in the book now that you say that, because of the anomaly under the ground. We're getting way off subject. This was nothing that I did research on for tonight, but we're gonna keep rolling with it. Anyways, so when the family initially bought the property, there was, I think, 2 rules to them buying the property from the previous owner. And they thought it was kind of strange, but they were like, whatever, we're going to buy the property anyways. They couldn't dig on the property. That was one of the rules. It was like, whatever is there is there. You can't dig. And the reason behind it, I remember reading this in the book, was whenever anyone would dig, they would get really, really sick. And no one knows why. And that's why in the show, they were so apprehensive about digging it, because in the show, I think one of the guys got super sick from digging in the ground.
He got like a strange lesion on the back of his head, and they took MRIs on it. It was very strange. It was like a fluidous mass that had grown on the back, and they took like MRI or something of it, and it was Definitely bizarre.
Yes, but I will 100% agree with you. The show is super slow, and they make every little thing really dramatic. Like I think they like one of the episodes they were like trying to monitor like their health, and the guy who
Yeah.
actually owns the ranch now like flew on in a helicopter, and he's like he had like a silver briefcase, and he like lays it on the table and gives everyone like Fitbits. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
come on, like
Yes.
you,
Yes. Yes.
It's like a reality show,
It
or
is okay. So the thing is, the guy you're talking. All right, there's that rich guy that had it for a while, and then now it's being ran by another rich guy.
Yep.
But what's weird is like if someone wants to sign a I'm sure that whatever rule, like I don't even know how you enforce that legally, but whatever non-digging rule, let someone volunteer sign a crazy waiver like you do at a gym, like if you die it's your fault, and then you wear a hazmat suit of some kind and just do it. I don't think
let's do it.
yes, Shia LaBeouf, yeah. You just got, I mean, I'm so irritated by like the slow progress. Like the same thing in Oak Island when they finally started finding substantive things. The government rushed in and then just put this crazy amount of red tape. They were already being very careful and respectful and categorizing and preserving everything. They had experts in different fields, and they know they're under the microscope. They're making a show. Everybody's watching them. So once the Canadian government gets involved, they all of a sudden just the progress ground down to like discovery and a half a year, and they have very short seasons because of the weather over there. So, I mean, we know there's silver. We know there's a new chef discovered. We know there's parchment with cursive penned ink. We know there are Templar connections, and just the engineering of the stuff that we do know is under Oak Island is insane. And you talk about like whatever it is, there's people that are like it's the Ark of the Covenant. Then there's people like it's the Templars and all their treasure, or this or that, or Shakespeare's lost whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's like significant to the human history. I don't get it. But and also they're always prepping, like they start once a commercial break's over, they fill you in like you have no idea what's going on. They give you like all the Discovery shows are like that. They're always like, meanwhile on Oak Island, and then they give you the whole backlog of the first quarter of the episode, and you're like, we only have 20 minutes left. I know.
That's like an anime recap filler episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, those are
Seth,
the worst.
The government is here to protect you, and Alex is our representative of that government. So A, I'd be careful what you say, and B, Alex, thank you for keeping us safe.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Thanks, bruh.
So okay, I guess my thing with like maybe the reason why like the whole reality TV show and why like okay, reality TV is trash anyways, but it's just one of those things where it's like I'm guessing the reason why he even signed on to do the reality TV show at like the Skinwalker Ranch was in the event that there really is nothing there. Like he's making an extra buck. Like what do rich people do? Figure out other stuff to do with their money, to make another buck.
It's just risk mitigation. That's all it is risk mitigation. That's it.
That too.
You know, I'm putting some money in over here. So how do I make sure that if this doesn't pan out, I at least make a few bucks? So that part of it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're way off subject of Bigfoot, but
you did okay. One final point on the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
We could also theorize that it's not necessarily a portal, but very secretive hatches to the inner world theory or the hollow earth theory.
Okay, so it's funny that you bring up Hollow Earth because I was trying to find updates of Hollow Earth. I don't know if he's coming back. There he is. I was trying to find any sort of updates on Hollow Earth, but there really is nothing new about it. Is everyone here aware of Hollow Earth and the theory about Hollow Earth?
I saw Friday the 13th, the remake, yeah. I'm aware.
Yeah.
Admiral Byrd, man, he knew stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know a
But-
little.
What do you know?
Ooh, lizard people.
This is getting eerily close to our crystal lizard people in our D&D episode where we
Oh.
had the crystalline forest and the
Oh,
people came out. I forget what creatures they were.
The coin. You talking about the coin
The coin,
toss?
yeah.
We
The
we
game
just,
we never finished.
I was gonna say we're still on like there's like 3 different levels and we're only like we just got
I got
to
all the
second
Legos in my garage protecting them against my cats. we gotta set that up again.
Wondering what that was for.
But one last thing about the Bigfoot video footage. Would you say that the footage that is like supposed to be the best, the one that we just watched, would you say that it's better than the Patterson Gimlin one? Yes or no? I'm gonna say no.
No.
It's just the top down and how far away it is. It's just I don't know. There's something about it. It just doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could
if
be
I-
down with that. Yeah.
Yeah, if
same.
I had a furry rug and a drone, I could make an old Yugo look like Bigfoot, so from top down. So it's like, no, I'm not really. It's
Hey, yeah.
it's interesting. The most interesting part is probably the disappearance at the end. Just the poof, and that I think is the part that makes you think a little bit. The rest of it, it could so easily be a guy in a suit, and I mean, if we're gonna be honest here, it kind of scares me that Bigfoot's a redhead. Because come on, redheads.
Oh my god.
So I mean, yeah. So
I mean, drones are pretty loud, right? Like, don't they make pretty loud sounds? Like, you
Yeah,
think the
from
Bigfoot
that distance
would,
you can hear. From
you
the
would
distance
think-
he was at.
You would
Well,
think this
you'd-
creature would look
you'd-
up
uh,
to see, like, what is
yeah.
that? Like, other
That's-
animals, I think, do that.
that's probably the best point, Meg. That's probably like it. Even as a human being, if you hear something weird, you'd go,
yeah, you'd be like, what the
hell is that? Yeah, exactly. So
And-
that's maybe the best point. Yeah.
I also follow an Instagram. I think I've also followed them on TikTok. That's like this person. I don't know who they are, but they dress up as Bigfoot and like dance. They are definitely a woman because they are pregnant. Now, or I don't know. They might have delivered their baby, but they just do like they just have like a pink bow around them. I wish it was that Bigfoot because I would have screamed if it was just somebody making a TikTok out in the woods.
Speaking
Well-
of drones, I've made enemies with my neighbor across the woods that way. He came zooming in on his truck one day and stayed at the fence. So I walked towards him and we get into a yelling match. He was like, "You're spying on me and my wife," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I have no more information than what Google Maps already has, and I can also show you the flight logs because with GPS you have like a log of everywhere the drone went. I went nowhere near his property, and in fact, this house is under construction. I was taking like time lapses of the construction, and yeah. So if you have a drone, just be aware of neighbors.
Well, but if he flew a drone over your property, you'd be running to the fence too. You would be. So
I wasn't over his property. I never crossed the property line. I
Well,
never crossed the woods.
but if there was a drone flying, you'd be. I'm just saying, have a little bit of compassion for a fellow person who likes their privacy. That's
He was
all I'm saying.
also okay. Whatever. I can get into plenty of issues I have with him, but not right now. It's fine.
I have
Damn.
neighbors that have drones, and to be perfectly honest, I have a 12 gauge solution for all of those drones. I don't like them either. Okay, but I'm a reasonable person, so I'm not gonna pump off rounds in city limits. I'm just not gonna do it. So
Man, I live in an apartment. I just hear my upstairs college neighbors just yell at each other sometimes. So that's
Oh,
about
that's
as
the
spicy as it
greatest.
gets. I know they're like so young, and I'm like, oh, are they drunk again? And then it was
just
also
don't know.
sharing a wall, my bedroom wall. There was this gentleman that lived on the other side of me who had a very loud cough, and he would listen to Alex Jones full blast. And I was like,
Oh,
I really
God.
want to sleep, and I don't want to hear Alex like Jones in my
Now that's a neighbor I could get down with.
And I heard his conversation with his, I guess it was, I don't know, he was on the phone with somebody. He was talking about the Russians one day, and I was like, whoa, whoa.
Did you not record it?
No,
Oh.
I was feeling a little spicy, so I had a little Bluetooth speaker, and I was tired of hearing him, and I just turned it around and blasted the most obnoxious, I don't know, thing I could think of at the time, which was probably cringe, but it was Cradle of Filth.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to, I was like, please, I can't. So
See,
he moved.
I miss the good old days. So let's take everybody back literally a quarter of a century. And my first wife is pregnant with my youngest kid. We have a neighbor next door, and it was a nice apartment building, but one of those 20-year-old kids who mommy and daddy paid for everything. And this kid the whole apartment was nothing but speakers and TVs. That's the whole apartment. And one night I finally had enough. I went over there, had some words, might have punched one person in the face a couple of times.
Damn.
The cops came. They knocked on my door and they're like, so what's the problem? And I explained the problem. I demonstrated my pregnant wife. They went over there and told him to shut the fuck up or this guy's going to kick your ass again. And they left.
Nice.
So
That is
a much simpler time. A much simpler time.
Yeah. That, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to beat up my elder. I'm assuming he was elderly. I don't know. He always sounded like he was about to pack up, dying. I was like, what? I'm just trying to sleep, man. I do not want to hear Alex Jones while I'm sleeping. This is too much.
There was this was before, I think this was like in the 90s. I don't remember the documentary. I wish I could though. It was two college guys were sharing an apartment, and there was two old guys that lived right next door to them. And I think they were going to like some sort of arts or like film school. And the two old guys that lived next door to them, the two old guys hated each other. And they would just say the meanest shit to one another. And it was like, if you guys don't like each other, it was the two old guys that lived together that was always fighting. It wasn't like the young guys and the old guys. It was the two old guys just yelling at each other. And it was like, if you guys don't like each other, just move out. You don't have to live together. So what ended up happening was that the college guys started recording the two older guys just like yelling at each other and everything. And they made like a compilation tape of this.
Amazing.
Seth, do you
I've
know what I'm
seen
talking
this.
about?
I do. There used to be a website where you could go and stream all the documentaries you wanted, and I found it on that. They made animations of like recreations of it, but they would play all the tapes, and it turned into like this emotional journey. And then I forget what happened, but I do know what you're talking about.
Sounds
Yes,
amazing. I want to see that.
I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was one of these things where I think the old guys, they found out about it and they got really pissed off. And I think they sued the college kids for it because, I mean, like legally, like you can't record someone, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the law, but they didn't get permission from these people. And I don't know if they got any sort of compensation from it. And that might've been the issue. But if I remember the name of it, I might toss it in the
Shut
movies.
Up, Little Man.
Is that what it is?
Because one of them would go, "Shut up, little man." He would always yell that.
Yes.
And I also it's called Shut Up, Little Man, and it was like it was a thing like before the internet was what it is now. And so it was apparently people shared these recordings on like cassettes and stuff.
Yep.
Like when the first South Park came out, people were like trading VHSs around. And it became really popular that way. It almost reminds me of the Winnebago Man. Have you seen that documentary? So whenever you want, Google Winnebago Man outrageous like outtakes. There was this line of commercials for Winnebago, the vehicle, the camper, and there was this main spokesperson. He looked like Locke from Lost. You know, the guy with the shaved head that was crippled and then he could walk once he got on the island, but he had a mustache. He looks just like Locke, but with a mustache. He would say the most foulest stuff humanly imaginable in such an angry way anytime he flubbed a line. So there was all this backlogs of bloopers of him, and they were so outrageous that people started circulating them, just like the "shut up little man" thing. And it became so famous that someone tracked him down and did this whole documentary. He was like living alone in a cabin, and he just shut the rest of the world out. And he was going blind. And so the guy that was the documentarian became friends with him, and the guy kind of like started. He was horrible to get to know because he was so abrasive and rude. But slowly he started depending on this documentary guy, and so they had this weird symbiotic relationship, and so they made this documentary, and it is the most outrageous thing I've seen. It reminds me of that a lot.
We know Bagel Man. Now that you say that, I think I remember. I want to say I've seen one of them before. Does it look like classic, like 80s, 90s, old stuff?
VHS, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
And it's just this man ranting whenever he couldn't remember a line. It was so great.
Wow. I have a friend and who was living in an apartment. Her and her husband would hear their neighbors arguing. And they would get up against the wall and listen. Like they were like, ooh, hot goss. Let's listen. So they caught like part of the argument one night, and it was like, give me my soy sauce. This person was talking about, give me my soy sauce. And so they made that, my friend made that their the name of their Wi-Fi network right after that argument happened.
Awesome.
And then they also have a secondary one that's like, and give me my duck sauce too. And I was just like, y'all are wow. And they still keep it. They moved and they still have that. That's what they named their Wi-Fi network. I'm like, wow. It's
That's
on my phone.
perfect.
I have connected to it many times. So
I like apartment complexes when you turn on, if you like drive into an apartment complex and like scan your Wi-Fi with your phone, it's like a competition on the most outrageous network names.
there's so many around me. There's like, I wish I remembered. There was one really, Chinese space balloon or air. What was the balloon? The Chinese spy balloon was the most recent one that I saw. That was like one of my neighbors. There was another wild one, but I can't remember what it is right now. But it is my favorite. I need to come up with a really good one to compete with them.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I don't know how we got from soy sauce to Bigfoot, like that's awesome.
It's the way it should be. Honestly, it's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Oh wait, were you gonna elaborate on Hollow Earth? That's how we got off. We went to Hollow Earth, to D&D, to somehow, I don't know.
I think, honestly, I don't know either.
We can
Honestly,
play it back. It's okay.
Yeah, it's whatever.
We're never gonna play it back.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
All right. The next one that I have, and this one is something that we talk about. I want to say at least once a month. This is a subject that we just talk about normally. Musk claims, this is from what day? What's the date today? Is today the 27th or 26th?
23rd.
Today's the 23rd. That's how. Wow. Oh, okay.
Remember, the government is here to help you.
The 23rd. Okay, so this is from 3 days ago. Musk claims that the Neuralink patient is doing okay with the implant and can move mouse with their brain. So I was unaware that the human trials for Neuralink are now a thing, and it was already implanted into somebody. I thought they were still on the pile of dead monkeys thing, but apparently
shortly after that they got approved.
Let me tell you right now, no, fuck that shit. I don't want any of that near me. I do no.
Okay, so let me ask you. So you're a no on it. So why?
Very much so.
Why no?
Someone could hack my brain, dude. Like, I'm not, no. And it just seems so unnatural and just, ew. And I don't like Elon Musk very much, so.
Well, it's not
Kind of a
because
douche.
Well,
He's gonna do the procedure himself.
I don't care if he he's, I don't know. I don't want any part. But also,
we're going to exponentially orders of magnitude increase your brain power, Megan.
oh my gosh. No, and like, I don't know, like if everybody had one of those and someone's just like, ooh, we can hack.
Well, that's
the
the
brain.
thing. I like the idea. I like the technology. I like pushing boundaries. Obviously, I really like it. My problem is what she said. If you can output information, you can theoretically input information. I mean, you talk about like the things I think about is like neuro-linguistic programming of society or slowly changing people's opinion through media, news, music, blah blah blah.
Well,
people are already so.
That's already happening, Seth. That's what I'm saying. People are so
malleable. What like that is just like super blatant to me. That's a bit. If you were looking at this in terms of security risks for your brain, this is like a giant barn door opening. I like the idea. It's just that I don't have any faith in humanity or like the nefariousness of people.
Yeah, and I just don't understand. Why do I need that? Like, why do I need that extra thing in my body? What is it going to add to my life?
Exactly.
I think it's the same convenience of like they're already putting chips into people that you can like pay with just like moving your hand over. It's like a convenient. So okay, this is a perfect.
We're becoming so lazy.
But I don't need that level of convenience. I don't need it because I saw the same article, and when I saw it, and it said, so Neuralink implant patient moves mouse with mind. And this is the grumpy old man in me, but my first thought was, God, I hope that mouse finds the cheese, And then I'm like, no, they're talking about something else. And then it's like, no, well, I have a hand to move my mouse, so how is that usable? Well, then I thought about, okay, so people that have a paraplegia or quadriplegia, that's useful, right? For those people, that's totally useful. For mainstream America, if you are too lazy to sit in front of your computer and move your mouse by yourself, do me a favor, go find a bridge and jump the hell off of it. we don't need any more lazy people in our society. And so much of this technology is built around, well, something else can do it for you. And it's like, well, at what point are we in the movie WALL-E, where we're all just riding on our little hovercrafts and we all weigh 900 pounds and we're sipping on sodas, and it's like when the real world comes to life, we all have stubby legs and we can't move anymore. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, to Seth's point about things being secure. See, okay, so once a year I get hey, did you make this credit card purchase? And I say, no, I did not make that credit card purchase. And they're like, okay, we'll take care of it. 10 years ago when that happened, it was a clusterfuck of epic proportions where you had to make 17 phone calls and you had to talk to 18 different people and go through all this thing. And still in the end, you were still somehow liable for it anyway. So it's like, what happens? Am I liable for if somebody hacks my brain and I'm running around my front yard naked, showing off to all the neighbors? Am I liable for that because somebody hacked my brain?
That would be a defense one day.
Exactly. Oh. My brain. Sorry, Your Honor, my brain was hacked. I did not shoot those 75 people and stroke that cat backwards and scratch my neighbor's car with my keys. I didn't do any of that.
Well, so I think with the Neuralink thing, right, I think because it's the person who had it done has the ability to just move a mouse, right? So I don't think in any sort of way can the Neuralink be hacked in a way where someone is making you physically do something. However, it might be able to be hacked in a way where they are making your Neuralink do things that it shouldn't. So like opening up like web pages and going to certain things, and it's like, whoa, I'm not doing this. Now, if there was like a kill switch to it, like a no shit, like you flip a switch on the back of your head and it like turns off, then okay, like I can understand that. Or if it was something where like it was not inserted into your body, but it was something that you could like, you know, like almost like a headset that you can just put on, and then you can, you know, move electronics, like, you know, computer, whatever. It can like read what you want to do. Then okay, that I wouldn't have an issue with that. But
Well, flip that around though, and what if that kill switch works both ways though? So that's kind of scary. I decide to be a dissenter. I decide to speak out against the government, and someone comes in and goes and I just go,
yeah,
what? And I'm just done. Second of all, I'm guessing that the guy that got this neural implant probably previously worked for Twitter, was going to get laid off, and they said, hey, do you want to keep your job?
it was an intern.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, of course I want to keep
Poor
my
intern.
job. And we're going to give you a raise, the cost of living, and we'll give you better health benefits. All you have to do is have this thing shoved into your brain. And he went, okay. Yeah.
Craig, do you want to keep your job, Craig?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
We started a new joke last night. Craig is our unpaid intern, and we just kick him out when we're
Really?
done recording podcasts.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Well, one day though, Craig is going to get bitter, and he's going to keep recording when we think he's not there.
Oh yeah.
And then
there we
we're
go.
all screwed.
He's evolving.
Yeah.
He's becoming intelligent.
Craig is going to get
Oh.
a Twitter. He's going to get a Twitter page and cancel all of us.
I feel his cold, dead stare, like just
It is definitely those.
peering into my soul, and he knows my deepest fears.
Yeah, he does have that look about him. He's just staring right through you.
And it's not a smile either. If you look at Craig's mouth,
Yeah,
it's just like it's just a line.
He's
Yeah.
dead
Yeah,
inside, man.
Yeah, he does have that. Oh my God, he said it. Or she said it.
He's a sociopath.
It does and he's in the Discord. It says listening to all your conversations.
Oh, yeah, Craig
exactly.
is listening.
Yep.
But to your point about if we could have that technology, because I think it goes further than moving a mouse or whatever. The at least the stated dream is if you have a quadriplegic, and you have a Neuralink and an implant before the break in a spinal column, and then after the break in that nerve, you could bridge the information from your brain to the part that's cut off and continue that information and relearn to walk. So there's a lot of cool things. I also think that speeding up, I like bleeding edge technology, or at least the sci-fi dream. I know it's not really reality to where how humans operate, but I can dream. But the cool thing is when you said wearables, Brian Johnson, he has Braintree, and he is creating the same thing as Neuralink, but it's a wearable. It's a wearable helmet. And as far as brain scanning helmets go, it's actually kind of aesthetic. But one of the things is it's so the way that they used to do brain mapping and scanning, they would part your hair and put gel in this big cap full of wires and all this stuff. Now they've refined the technology to where it's a wearable, but it can scan different aspects of your brain and different delta waves, what different hemispheres are more active or underactive, and then that whole mouse moving thing is coming in that wearable space, as well as I think it would just be cool to walk into my house and control every aspect of my house by just a few thoughts. That's just a cool idea to me. It's the same feeling when I got an Amazon Alexa and I could just tell my house what to do. Then I realized they were listening to every single thing ever, and I unplugged it and threw it away. So
Yep.
But I just like the idea. It's just a cool idea that we can at least think that some possibility is a possibility. I don't know.
The
No.
only thing I use is Siri. I tell her to set alarms, and like that's about it. Or tell me like the weather. Sometimes I mean, usually just do everything manually. I don't know. I've never like really gotten into like using an Alexa or anything. I have a friend who uses one for like lights and music, and I'm like, and when I dog sat for her, house sat, whatever, I was like, oh, Alexa, like just turning off stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you old school scary, connection scary. So this is 6 years ago. I'm driving home from work. I left work a little early. I stopped and did some errands, picked up a couple of fun things. I'm coming home. I'm at my off ramp and I get rear-ended. Okay. I'm in my sweet ass Camaro and I get fucking rear-ended. Not a huge accident, not a lot of damage. This crying college girl comes out of her car. She's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, calm down. Go through the things that I think are good as a human. Are you hurt? No. Okay. Second, it's just a car. Do you have insurance? Yes. So then who gives a shit? Okay. So we go through all this. We exchange information. It's like, I look at her car. Your car's leaking something. Get it checked out right away. Okay. That night, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I never entered this person's name in anything. I took a picture of her driver's license. Guess who it suggested to me as a Facebook friend? The person that rear-ended me.
Insane. That is
okay.
insane.
So if you're foolish enough to think that we're not connected and that your phone is not tracking every single thing that you do, and furthermore, that when you use different apps like say TikTok or whatever else, that it doesn't get to dive any deeper because you gave it permission to, people need to wake the hell up because it's already there.
Have you noticed when new people connect to your Wi-Fi and then like come and go, and then all of a sudden your ads start getting suggested things that you would like are not your thing at all?
Yep.
They're definitely swapping IP information. There's some underlying network that is keeping track of all of that.
Are you seeing plushies now? Are you seeing?
I definitely see some things that only you would look up.
Nice. Thanks.
So
thanks, Jeff Bezos.
But that's very real. And I know the whole debate and not your phone's listening or whatever. They say all of this stuff, but the mountain of evidence that at least most things are being kept track of in a very efficient manner is very real.
Man, I try to clear my browsing history all the time.
Oh, that's not going to.
I know it doesn't do anything, but I try. But I logically understand what's happening. I'm like, yeah, it's just, I know it's it's tracking like where I'm searching on different places, and like, yeah, I understand, and at the end of the day, I have the willpower to say no to those plushies. Okay.
We should do a live tutorial on how to set up a Tor browser.
Ooh.
Yeah. Any takers on that?
All right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I can't remember what else I was going to say, but for sure one thing was, I remember both of them. Okay, yes, it is scary when when Google, and I hate Google, I refuse to use Google stuff now, is when Google's like, hey, you remember this in your past? Like, or like, hey, look at all your cat photos that you took. It's like, how do you know that these are cat photos? Or like, how do you know, like, remember the 4th of July pictures? And it gets like all the 4th of July. And it's just like, it's very specific on selecting your pictures that like, that you've taken and upload. And it's like, I don't like this.
Well, but
my phone does that too.
A lot of that's simple though. It's simple though. I mean, it uses imagery, so a cat, a dog, whatever else. It uses dates. It's the 4th of July, so it's probably a 4th of July. So a lot of that is really, really simple algorithms that a lot of it just is. It just is. But yes, I don't like it when, once a month I get a thing from it. Like, here's your trip from 2 years ago. Would you like to remember it? And I'm like, why the fuck do you know that? And it's like, I turned off everything that said that you should know that, and you still somehow know it. So yeah, it's disconcerting as hell. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever entered a CAPTCHA, like an image CAPTCHA for security reasons on a website, where it's like pick all the pictures of a traffic light,
stop
or a
sign,
cat, or whatever.
Horses.
Yeah, you're training an AI model to differentiate the difference between a car and a traffic light, and that's free labor you're giving to Google, and they're using that to refine their Google Maps and their systems, because real humans are telling the robot this is this, and it's seeing many different images of a traffic light at different angles, different blurry versions of it, and it's categorizing all of that. Now, back when people really understood that this was happening, 4chan got together and figured out which one. So they give you a few answers that they know are right. So like the first two images are like what they already know. The third image is what they want you to train and submit a human eye saying this is what it is. And then you get a CAPTCHA verification. When they figured out the order of which ones were, they really just needed that information. All of 4chan got together and were feeding it bad information to where autocorrect, like those little squiggly words and everything, the automated autocorrects in Google stuff were starting to use obscenities, autocorrecting it and stuff. And so they were feeding it like bad information. And that was just so great. That was punk.
Yeah, there was oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Seth, I think I remember us talking about that not too long ago on an episode. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Megan?
I was gonna say my phone. I have an iPhone, and it got an update a few updates ago. It has this ability to, in my photo album, identify a dog or a cat, or there was something else. I can't remember what it was. It was like an object of some sort. But I've already hit the information button. This is a picture of my cat, Hal. And it knows it's a cat. And I was just like, what?
Like in Google Photos.
It even tries to guess the breed. I'm like, man, he's just a black cat. And it's like Bombay. And I'm like, nah, he's just a black cat. He was born somewhere in the middle of like a farmland. Okay. I don't know what the fuck he is. He's a cat.
In Google Photos, there's a little section under the search bar. You can hit a thing that says visually search, and if it's enabled, I can just find like 4 pictures of her on my phone and type in her name. Mm-hmm. And once I have all of that, I can click her name, and every single photo she's ever been in my camera roll will pop up, and it will just be her. And I can do the same thing with my cats. It can recognize individual cats. I label it, and it will just pull up all those. Now, for me, I take 1 million photos a month. So like doing this all day is extremely annoying. So just typing in a word does come in handy. But
it does that for my phone too. It's been doing that for years, and I didn't even like, you can see.
Yeah.
It also recognizes individual cats, dogs.
It's just impressive that, you had like computers the size of refrigerators or entire rooms that were all like mechanical click based, like punch card systems. And now we have that in our pockets. I mean, we take it for granted, but if you really stop and think of the amount of progress in just that, it's just insane.
I mean, wasn't it like in the 40s and 50s that was happening? Like that's how big computers were. It was not too long ago. I mean, that was 80 years ago. But look at the progress of 100 years. Now, where do you think we're going to be in 1,000 years? Like that's
human augmentation.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I mean, hopefully we're still around in 1,000 years, but it's crazy to think that we've, developed this much in such a short period of time. And that's just how technology is. As soon as it goes, it's just like a snowball. It'll go. So
we were just talking about a solar event that's, could be imminent in our lifetime. And like, could you imagine a bunch of people walking around just in the world with chips in their head, and there's a coronal mass ejection?
Oh my gosh.
See, that's another thing, like what damage it could potentially do to your brain for just having it and just put in.
Yep.
The risks there, and that kind of thing. Or like, you probably can't have things like, I don't know what the chip is made of or anything, but I know my friend's dad, he had I think he had like a bullet or something, like some shrapnel or something like that, lodged into his brain or into somewhere, and he couldn't have, was it an MRI done? He couldn't have that done, or a CAT scan or something, because it could like just pull it out and kill him instantly. Yep. So I'm like, what could that do? I don't know what materials it's made from, but like, could somebody get like a big magnet and just like
titanium? I believe the outer shell is titanium, and that's not magnetic.
Okay. See,
the internals are silica and or or silicone or whatever it's called.
I
And
guess,
then
yeah.
I know that what's crazy is the wires that go into your brain. They actually go into your brain are smaller than a strand of hair. And they're somehow butting up against like neurons, like where here's your nerve, and then you have your synapses. They're butting up close to it to where impulses can be read by the chip and then filtered through an AI algorithm to decipher it and then piped out into some legible language for other technology. That's the way I understand it.
I feel like the brain is already, it's such a it's so complex, and I feel like it's perfect the way it is. I mean, obviously there's broken brains, but like, just a normal, regular, just nothing going wrong up their brain. It's a perfect machine already. We don't need to add anything else.
I just want to upload my consciousness in various stages in my life and keep forking, doing hard forks of myself, and then running all of the different versions of me in a simulation to where, and then overclock them so that their reality is so much faster than mine that I can unlock the secrets of the universe in a very short amount of time.
Well, we're getting there. I think we're getting there.
I promise you, Seth, I will put your jellyfish-like brain in a very nice aquarium, and I will feed you regularly. Okay. And I'll put an iPad or something up against the side, so you've got Netflix, so you can just go. You can watch Netflix. But I'll keep you around. I think you got good things for the future. I just think it's going to be a while before we can realize your potential.
My last thought on it of Neuralink is I think there is potential definitely to help with paraplegics, like, just health benefits that can improve somebody's quality of life. I mean, there's like cochlear implants for people who are deaf, hard of hearing. Those seem to improve quality of life. I think they seem to work really well. So this could potentially be a good thing for the right reasons. But I ain't gonna let them put nothing in my head, man.
I think it's how it's advertised too. Now, like if that was like the sole purpose of it, if Elon Musk was like, hey, look, we're trying to develop something that for like, people that are paralyzed, like this is going to be, I think that would have I think people would look at it differently than purely like, oh, I want to make something so people can control the mouse on on the computer. Like I think there would be a different feeling towards it.
Exactly. And Apple just came out with that visor thing that's like a computer, and I think that thing is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What?
It's just the Meta Quest.
The
new Apple thing is just Quest.
Yeah, I would love to hack that so people think they're going on a long stroll and they're actually walking off a dock into like a river. I would love that. Just because if I'm sorry, that is about the stupidest and douchiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If you think that you're so cool that you have to put on a visor and encapsulate yourself from the world so you think you're experiencing more, you have completely missed the point of being alive. You've completely missed it. It's the same people that go somewhere and they take 7,000 pictures of an experience and don't bother to experience the experience. It's like, I like taking pictures too. My wife and I a couple of years ago, we went to Hawaii and like hiked a volcano, and I took some pictures. Okay, I didn't take one every 7 fucking seconds because I wanted to make sure I captured everything. I took one picture every half hour or hour, so I had a seed for a memory. That's what I had. I had a seed for a memory, and I think that's what pictures are supposed to be. But people live and die now by pictures and making sure that it's fully documented and everyone gets to know the experience. And it's like, again, I'm the grumpy old guy here. I think I've earned my place. I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. I honestly don't care. It's for me. It's for me to have, And if some of my friends think it might be cool, I mean, that's just a bonus, But it's not for me to live my life and to make the experience whole.
Go ahead, Megan.
I was going to say, the Apple thing is, I think, just a computer. I don't know if it has, I mean, I'm sure it can, but like, I was like, it's like what? How much is it? Like 8,000? No, sorry. It's like 4,000.
Yeah, it's
insanely overpriced, which, look, I love my iPhone, and I have a MacBook Air that's like a 2015. because I can't afford a new one. And it's okay, it's fine, it's a good thing. But I'm just like that visor computer. I'm like, why? Why do you need to have like your computer like in this big giant ugly visor? Just use your phone or get a laptop.
Hold on. The thing is,
The MetaQuest is a different thing.
no, it's the same. It's augmented. So they like just like the Apple, you can see through it.
Is it a whole OS? Like a whole like you can access the internet?
Okay,
on it?
so yes, oh yeah.
I mean like a browser. Sorry.
Yeah. It has browser, but my problem with Apple is that they're just bougie, overpriced nonsense. What they just did has been done a million times already in the past few years. The MetaQuest 3, when you put it on, you see everything around you like you would right now. A little bit lower resolution, but it's all. What's cool is all of a sudden there's these giant, like all-encompassing screens, a keyboard, and like a main menu tab, and you don't even have to have controllers. It tracks your fingers, so you can be like doot 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 doot.
I did see him going.
Yeah, and it's fun in doses.
Whoa. Wait, you have one, Seth?
Yes.
You want me to go get it?
Oh,
You can if you want.
Meg, throw a tennis ball. Make him fetch.
Okay, all
Make him
right.
fetch.
What?
I want to see this. Throw a tennis
You want-
ball. I want to
okay.
see him fetch. I want to see this.
But I think that what's cool is I put it on in my ordinary living room, and then all of a sudden there's this giant sci-fi terminal in front of me. It's like kind of badass. I'm not gonna lie. Now, using it it's not like good at certain things, but there are some experiences in it that are pretty cool. Like you can type. Like that's the cool thing is you can get a big like Word document in front of you and be like typing air on like a keyboard, and it's just, I don't know, the experience is neat, but I kind of think of it's in that novelty stage where they're pretty close. It's way. Oh, it turned on. Oh yeah, it's dead.
Shit.
Yeah, I was playing Boneworks in it the other day and got super nauseous. And stopped playing it.
Apparently, Meg has sleep apnea. Interesting. Okay.
I can't hear.
Oh yeah, she can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh my God. Well, okay. So
It's
in
not
principle,
on right now, so I literally can't see anything.
Yeah, and you also look like you
But
have
do
sleep
I look-
apnea. No,
do
you
I
look
look
like you have
cool as
sleep
fuck?
apnea. You have really bad sleep apnea. That's what you have. So
Wait, what do I got?
really
Sleep
bad
apnea.
sleep
Oh!
apnea.
This isn't helping my case.
So it's cool. It's cool in context, but it's like from my chair, it's like, how does it improve my life? That's the whole thing. And I
I get
don't.
motion sickness.
It's
with
just fun.
it.
If you like VR games, fun. Like that.
Okay,
it's
so-
pretty.
VR chat is hilarious. First of all, it's unhinged as fuck.
I walked into a cafe in VR chat, and there were like 3 8-year-olds that were giant Mickey Mouses with guns, and they were like, hold them up. What are you gonna do? And then this other kid was like, you know what's better than a gun? You know what's better than a gun? And then he transformed down into Bugs Bunny, and he had an AR, and he was like, what's better than a gun? An AR.
Did you pray
And then
today?
this had to have been like 6 years old, turned into a giant crying cat, and was like, have you prayed today?
Did you
And I was
pray
like, what is
today?
going on in the room?
Okay,
This is
it-
peak human fuck, I forgot this is peak of humanity, okay?
There we
This is
go.
just peak humanity.
great. That okay. Well,
It's the culture.
So I'm going to go back and talk about the movie Idiocracy, which when we're done here, I'm going to stream for all of you just so you can
Yes.
watch it and see what you have coming. But I was talking to a buddy of mine today, and we had this conversation of the Android versus Apple, and I think I coined a phrase. I'm not entirely sure, but if I didn't, I'm going to coin it now. An Android might rust, but an Apple will always rot. Okay, so
Ooh.
when all is said
Damn.
and done, this shit that Apple gives you, the stuff that Apple gives you, for the most part, the Apple Watches, the AirPods, all this other stuff like that, they're selling you a product that's super expensive, that you don't need, doesn't improve your life, is too hard to use, is not symbiotic with the human brain, but somehow has suckered you in anyway.
I will say this. I do feel like, I could be wrong, I do feel like the older generation goes to Apple because it not saying you. I'm saying like
They don't.
Like, so
the people that I know don't do that.
they don't go towards Apple?
No, the
'Cause
people
like
that I know, the older generation, they gravitate towards the Android, and because the Android is set up more like what they know, and what do they know? They know Windows. Okay,
Don't listen.
that's what they know.
You're good, Siri. You're good.
I know what you're
Siri-
talking about, Alex. I've noticed older people in like my parents' circle, for whatever reason, the younger crowd like always gives them Mac products.
Yes.
And then they ask me when something goes wrong, and I look at the Mac. I was trying to set up OBS on spare OBS on her MacBook Air, and it's like you have to like copy and paste a piece of code and download this third-party buffer piece of stuff. It was like, what is going on?
First, let me just explain. That is a 2015 MacBook Air, and it is no longer
According to the YouTube tutorials, they're still having trouble with OBS.
Well, okay, well, it's very intuitive. Okay, it is a very intuitive. I don't need all the fancy stuff that Android can do. I mean, iPhone can do it now too. There's a lot more like
The
a lot of
fancy
them have the
stuff,
same.
like work
I don't know,
reliably.
I don't know what that would be. I know back in the day, iPhones were not as customizable as Android. They didn't have as the same apps that Android has. I feel like they're both the same now, and because iPhones can be, when people like to customize their phones and stuff, like it has that ability now. There's widgets and all that shit. I like I just really like my phone a lot. Like, it's very easy to use, and whenever, I'm sure it's the same thing for Android stuff, but whenever I get a new one, I just have to sit them next to each other, and like it just transfers it all, and I'm just like, cool, I don't have to do anything.
Okay. I want to bring something up real quick. You were hating on the fact that Neuralink could make it so easy to just move a mouse.
Damn.
And you know what, you see where I'm getting at right now? How you're like, it's so nice to just put my phone down and it can transfer data or set an alarm
but that's like a
for
separate
me.
piece for me. It's not part of my. It is kind of an extension. If you think about it, our phones are kind of extensions.
I know what you're
So-
saying, though. It's not like surgically implanted.
Yeah,
into
that's
you.
that's the difference, okay? And I don't see a need to have something surgically implanted. Maybe we all need to go back to flip phones.
Well, okay.
You wanna
Quick
know
thing
fu-
here.
Look at
Show
this.
of hands. Yes, Clark and I were talking about that earlier and how brilliant your philosophy is. It's brilliant.
Ooh.
I'm not there. So, show of hands, who wakes up to an alarm set on their cell phone?
I have like a
Okay,
lot of
I-
them.
I don't use my hand. I said
But
it,
I
but
also-
I always.
I have an alarm clock.
I have an
I
alarm
have an
clock
alarm
too. I have
clock.
one of the ones with the metal bells because I don't trust my phone too, because I'm a little bit of a snooze buttoner and heavy
Yeah.
sleeper.
Well, no, totally, yeah. And honestly, I'm still waiting for Megbot to go. Oh, this oil bath is going to feel so good. But I mean, it's a reliance thing, right? And now I have a calendar, I get email, I do whatever else. But for me, in my world, the more basic, just I have to get up in the morning and go somewhere. I don't rely on my cell phone. So for me, that helps me
I was just gonna keep it on.
not
Oh,
rely
look at
on
that.
it for
Oh,
more
I can't
things,
see.
right? It
Yep.
just it helps me be more independent of it. So like your flip phone thing, Alex, I think is honestly it's freaking brilliant because you and I talked a little bit about it before, and it's like the number of hours per day that you've saved not wasting your time just because it's in your pocket. You can pull it out and go, you know, and you're just not drawn. I mean, it's brilliant, but it's also painfully simple. But I wonder how many people don't ever think of that. How many people have their lives built around the little box in their pocket that tells them everything that they need to know about life.
I will say the transition from going to a smartphone back to a flip phone, it is rough. Like for the first like couple of weeks, and what I've noticed is like, and it's times that you don't even realize it, like standing in line or, you know, you're waiting for something, how it's so easy just to take out your phone, you know, check the news, check a post, do social media. That's all taken away with a flip phone. And now you're stuck with, well, I have to interact with people now or start a conversation, you know, like, or I guess you don't even have to do that, but what do I do to not like look awkward just standing here? Because you look almost out of place when you don't have a phone and you're looking down. It's the weirdest thing because I've noticed it way more now because I'm not looking down at my phone. I look around me when I'm waiting for something, and there's so many people just looking down at their screens, and it's like there could be something major happening all around us right now and none of you would notice, or something like, you know, something like a bird, you know, a beautiful bird might become flying by and no one sees it. It's really, it's crazy. I'm not suggesting everyone switch to a flip phone by no means, but it was just something that I wanted to do personally, and I have seen a huge change. Like even going out, for instance, like having to do like checking your bank account. It's so easy to just like, all right, hey, do I have money in this account? Well, I better have money. Like it's just little things I've noticed that I have to do to prep to go out, whereas I didn't have to before. Like a grocery list. Typically, I would put a grocery list on my on a smartphone. I now have to write it on a piece of paper and take a grocery list, and I'm walking around with a pen and paper, like something that my dad used to do. I remember him doing that all the time. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, go ahead.
No, go, Meg, go.
I was gonna say I'm trying to have a healthier relationship with my phone, have a boundary with it, and not be it is difficult. And I don't use every application my phone offers. I don't really use the Notes app. I don't really I use it to text, I use it to call, and I use it to browse social media or the web and Amazon with my plushies that I don't buy. I just look at them and long for them. And I'm like, oh, I long for you, but it's not responsible.
Start a wish list.
I've got too many things on a wish list. I'm like, yeah, I'm like one of those people who I have like buyer's regret, buyer's remorse.
Share the wish list. That's all you gotta do is share it. And then
I can't ask people to like. That's another thing. I see people like put in their like Cash App or whatever, like in their bios of a lot of things. I'm like, what?
Oh, that's
like
just
e-beggars.
Yeah, and
that's
it's just like
sad. That's just sad.
And
Yeah.
I remember, not to get dark, when my dad passed away, my friend suggested I create a GoFundMe for his funeral, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I didn't necessarily have the money, but I got a loan if I needed to get a loan to pay for things. I did that. I'm like, I'm not asking. I mean, I know what my friend was trying to do to help me because she didn't want me to be financially strapped. But I was like, no, I'm not going to ask people for money to bury my dad. Like, absolutely not. So
yeah, we've created
that's
a beggar's culture. That's what we've created now.
Yes, and
anytime
so I'm just
anything bad happens, people are just they have their hand out, help me.
Yeah, and I think that it's a good thing for some things. You know, there's people out there who are really suffering, like a really crazy thing. I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but like just some really tragic, awful thing that happens to somebody, and like they lose a family member. Like I don't know. There's ways to do it right, but yeah, it's just weird. I don't get that. But yeah, I think people should just have boundaries with their devices, and just like only like kind of like how a lot of parents will have kids like tablet time and TV time. They set like that time up, and they're like, okay, your hour is up. Now you can't use it for the rest of the day. And just use it for like the necessities. And I do remember having to, you can actually call your bank. You can just look at the number on the back of your debit card and call them and get your balance. Because I remember doing that a lot when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I'm like, damn, how much money I got. I didn't have a smartphone until like, I don't even know how old I was. But yeah, it definitely, I can, good for you for switching, because that has to be. And, but I think people should engage and not be so attached to their phones.
honestly, what I found myself doing is reading books more. As crazy as that sounds, I bring a book out wherever I go, and I've like crushed, I think, like 2 or 3 books since I've made the switch, which I mean is pretty cool because I used to never really read a whole lot, but now it's just something that I've picked up. So we're getting way off topic of Neuralink, but
Man, fuck Neuralink. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, not really, because all the things that we're talking about are connected to our smartphone, and your Neuralink is ultimately connected to your smartphone.
that's true.
So
I bet there's an app for it.
It's not that way off topic. And talking about like the things that like Mega's talked about, or things that Seth's talked about, how it connects you, but it connects you in a way that is, if you're honest, isn't necessary. Okay, it might be a little easier, but is it actually necessary? And so does making things easier over the course of time just make us lazy? Okay, and does it, to what Seth said, does it make everybody, in a sense, kind of an e-beggar? Now, I don't give money to things usually. I have a story about why I don't give money. I'll tell that at another time because it was not good, and you guys would love it, but it was not good. But like, I just gave some money recently, and the thing that I gave money to. So, have you guys heard the news story about the 2 police officers and the paramedic that were killed here in Minnesota? It was national. It was national news. So, 2 police officers went to a house that there was a reported sexual assault going on. So the 2 police officers went to the house. They went into the house. The person in the house started shooting, hit both the police officers. They both went outside to seek care from the paramedics that had shown up. They were both shot again, and the paramedic was shot, and a 3rd officer was shot. So this happened 20 miles from my house. Well, so that happened. We come to work over a weekend. We get back. Well, it turns out that one of those officers was the son of our marketing manager where I work. And so as horrific as it is, she's a very nice lady. Obviously not something that had to happen, but there was immediately fundraisers that were put out. And of course, now in this day and age, you have to say, support this fundraiser, and then the bottom line is beware of scams. And there literally are scams out there that are, help this people. So anyway, so I gave some money to that because this is a coworker that I respect. That it's a shitty situation. But it's one of those things where I also think that nobody really asked for it. They just understood that there was a need, right? And knowing what I know about this lady, I know that she doesn't need the money. And from what I've heard, there's probably the money will go elsewhere because that's just what kind of person she is. Where was I going with this? I had a point to this. Let me come back around. Between this flu and e-begging. Yes, absolutely. So what I don't understand, and I think Meg, you summed it up perfectly. When something happens, and your first response is to put your hand out and have the whole world help you somehow. In my world, that's about the most pathetic thing that you can do. Now, if you dig deep, you go through all of your resources and you're short, maybe, okay? But I think people don't even try anymore. I think their first instinct is just to put their hand out and hope the world fills their coffers. And it's really annoying to me because there probably are charities, organizations, things out there that could benefit from a few extra bucks. But I've gotten to the point where I'm so jaded, I give money to almost nothing because I don't know if it's a ripoff. I don't know if it's a scam. I don't know if it's my Uncle Bob has cancer and he needs an asshole transplant. Otherwise he's going to die. And it's like, but I don't know if I should give money to that because I don't even know if Uncle Bob's real. You know, so it's so hard to know these days. But it's not any different than I think the welfare culture that we've built and just this. People are just not responsible for themselves anymore, and it's super frustrating to me. Where people don't get up every day and just go, "I'm going to work as hard as I can today, and I'm going to get as far as I can today," and people just don't do that anymore. That's my rant. I'll shut up.
Well, this is a good time to plug our Patreon. If you'd like to donate to the podcast,
Oh my gosh!
Dang,
Clark has been silent the entire time.
Yeah, send your
That's what he rolls in with.
Brought to you by
Yeah.
Ridge Wallet.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
send the money to
That's
at
great.
Clark. Clark is silent and Alex is watching. And yeah, and your donations will be matched by Meg and her dad's funeral fund. I don't know. I
There you go.
it's yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some of this stuff is like the thing that we do here. I mean, if we could make money, it would be great. But like, I sort of draw the line at panhandling. Like, I won't do it. If people think that we're interesting enough that a few bucks for merch or a few bucks for extra access is cool to them, that's totally fine. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to still do this either way. And I don't ever expect to be rich off of this thing. But yeah, if hosting costs and internet costs and things like that could be covered, that'd be great. But I don't care about getting rich. I care about having an opinion and talking with my friends about it. And a lot of times, if people don't agree with that, then come at me and we'll see what's what. I'm fine with that. I don't want to fight. I just want people to keep talking. That's what we have to do as people. We have to keep talking. And I think, Alex, you made a great point of you have a flip phone, you've disconnected, and then you're out in the world and you stop and look around and you're the fucking weirdo who isn't looking down. What happened there? You're the weirdo. I mean, and you're a weirdo, but you're not that weirdo. So it's like,
Thanks.
I mean, but it's like, has anybody ever seen the movie Warm Bodies?
Yeah.
That sounds
No.
familiar. What is that?
It's a Wait, is it the zombie romance movie?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. They make a point in that movie of pointing out how there was a point that even though the zombie apocalypse has happened, people were zombies way before that. And they use our mobile devices as the anchor point of when people became zombies. And today it's never been truer. And we've flipped from a place where people are distracted by their mobile devices and not paying attention to each other to now it being an attention-seeking device where people have to go out and be a douchebag and screw with other people and get hits and likes and everything else just so their lives have some meaning. And it's like, I almost wish we could, like, for a year enact a law that made cell phones illegal so everybody could shuck it off and go outside and talk to people.
Okay.
Touch grass.
This is
Yes.
this is a perfect segue into the next topic, but I know it's getting late and we've been at this for a minute. The next topic by no means is a quick one. Are we all done? Do we want to chalk it up right now and kind of close the door and the episode, or do we have enough?
yes, but first, shout out to Total Tech. Hello, fellow virgins. Hello to you too, my friend. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, we actually have someone who's listening.
Yes.
Oh,
Hold on. Total Tech. Shout out to Total Tech.
How long has Total Tech been listening? Has he just popped in now?
I think he's still in here. Hi, Total Tech. If you're listening, hi. Anyway,
Okay.
We will have to do a better job of when we go live and like have links, because I would share links all over the place too, just for the hell of it, you know, on my socials and whatever. It'd be fun.
Are we able to, with a 24-hour stream thing, are we able to podcast from that one? Now, I know we're talking business.
audio, yes. Video, no.
Okay.
But so we'll have in our Discord. If you're listening, you can go to That's Effing Weird Discord. In fact, I need to put a permalink in the link tree for invites. But yeah, I'll put that up. You come in there, and then we just have like all of our classic conversations on a loop on the 24-hour feed. And then I think that this is a good idea. I think the streaming thing is a good idea. Obviously, when we do like a seriously well-researched episode, we'll close it off and focus. But this is kind of cool.
Yep, I agree.
I'm having fun.
I like how
Well,
we're
that-
bashing technology, but also very dependent on it. This
Yeah,
platform.
Yeah, we're all a
Please
bunch of
stay.
yeah. No, I mean, we just need to have healthier relationship with technology. That's all. We just need to have some boundaries and have a healthier relationship with it, and know it can do good things, but it can also do many bad things.
What's our phone number?
We
Oh.
we lost that number, unfortunately.
Again, we lost
Again?
2 numbers now. We had one. As long as you make a call every like 3 months,
I don't
should
think we.
keep it.
I don't
All right.
think
Well,
we-
I'll get it back. We'll post the call-in number, and I'll have a third laptop set up so you can call in to the show.
anytime. Perfect. All right. Well, I think this wraps up the show and everything. Hey, for the what his name was Virgin Tech.
No.
Was his name Virgin
His
Tech
name
or
is-
was?
No, his name is Total Tech. His comment was
Total
"Hello,
Tech.
fellow virgins." So.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought his name was Virgin Tech or something like that.
Well, that's a bold assumption that we're all virgins. I mean,
look at my
just
shirt.
looking. I was
Look
saying,
at my
look,
shirt.
I know. Looking at the screens, there's at least 2 of us that are. I know that. And don't worry, you'll get there. It's okay. You'll get there. You know,
Wait, what?
Oh man.
Oh.
Good times.
we'll get there. Meg, good luck with the sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Alex,
Hey,
wonderful
I'm just
to
saying
see
you're
you.
missing out.
Well, I
Hey,
Okay, I'll
play
tell you
some
what.
Valve games on that.
mail it to
Just
me.
get-
I'll
Just
try it
jump into
out,
VR chat.
Okay.
and then I
So
will
funny.
I will pawn it and claim it was lost in the mail when I sent it back.
Okay.
And then I'll buy some more trains.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Hey, I'm gonna send you some videos of me in VR chat. It'll be
So funny.
Okay, I look forward to seeing it. Yeah,
dude. So funny.
you walk around the living room with goggles on, punching 8-year-olds in the face.
Dude,
That's
I
gonna
was
be
like,
fun.
where are these kids' parents, man?
that's what was disturbing. I looked at her and I'm like, this is the new raise your kids by the TV.
yeah.
Put them in front of the TV. I told you about that maintenance request I went to, and there was this kid the entire time I was working on this leaking pipe and sogging drywall. The entire day, this kid was in the living room in like VR, and I was coming and going. I went to Lowe's. I came back. The kid's like in the living room just doing this. Hilarious. It was hilarious. And so yeah, everyone in there is like just children, and I was like, this is the new sit your kids in front of the TV thing. The Oculus is raising the kids now.
I will send y'all in I don't know which part of the Discord. I'm not good at this, but I'll just drop it in members. But it's a hilarious VR chat experience with Yoda.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it gives my soul, it warms my
It
soul.
is pretty good.
It's so funny.
Yoda's getting loaded. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, send it to him.
Okay.
We'll start dropping it in the new rooms.
Yeah. I'll figure out which room which is the most appropriate room.
Perfect.
Sleep apnea you have.
All
This
right.
This whole chat, especially the Neuralink, has got me thinking about an old movie I used to love called Strange Days. Anyone ever seen Strange Days? 1995. Well, you'll get the Neuralink connection. I think I'm gonna fire that up in our lounge just for anyone who feels like watching. Because now I want to watch it. It's Juliette Lewis. I mean, you can't really go wrong there. So yeah. Anyway.
Oh
People.
yeah, plug that for the 2 people listening.
We
You
have another
have, you
person?
have
Whoa, we have 2 people.
well, there's
listening?
2. I don't know if it's counting me or not. It might just be Total Tech and me because I'm like observing. But whoever's in there in the Discord, Brent has movies that are occasionally played. I don't know if we'll eventually have a schedule or what, or like watch-alongs essentially.
Yeah, we try to do them on Friday. Ro was a big fan when she is able to be here. I'm hoping to maybe do a recurring thing on Sunday called Sunday Cinema, spelled with an S.
Ooh.
So yeah, religion-themed movies that kind of attack both sides. I really love those. But the Friday watch-alongs have been popular, so maybe we'll keep those going too. I'm going to start one here just for the hell of it. If nobody comes, I'm going to watch a movie anyway, so I don't care. So works out.
Perfect.
Sounds
All right.
good.
I think this wraps up the episode. Hey, thanks, Total Virgin, for tuning in. I don't know how long you were listening, but thank you for coming by. We appreciate it. And hey, everyone, it was great to be back. It was great to podcast. I can't wait to do more episodes. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, just remember, we don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that is effing